Greetings, kindred friend. Let us spend a truly quiet moment right now. Imagine darkness enveloping the room, the slow ticking of the clock in the corner suddenly becoming clearer than ever. You lie there, your body motionless, but why do your shoulders still feel heavy? Why is your mind still engrossed in chasing calculations for tomorrow or regrets of yesterday? Have you ever honestly asked your heart, why is it that the more we try to control life, the more exhausted we feel? Why are the things we spend half our lives holding tightly, putting so much effort into protecting, now exactly the things making our hearts tighten with fatigue? Cruelly, the human mind is like a hand trying hard to squeeze a handful of fine sand amidst the vast ocean. The harder you squeeze your fist out of fear, the sand will drift away, the faster those sand grains pour through your fingers. In the end, what remains in your palm is not sand, but only ache, numbness, and an overwhelmingly terrifying emptiness. In the profound wisdom of the Buddha, he taught us an ultimate liberating truth. Attachment leads to suffering. Freedom begins with letting go. Attachment leads to suffering. Freedom begins with letting go. Peace has never been the reward at the end of the race of control. Peace is actually a state of being when your hands are completely empty and weightless. Tonight, I invite you to take a consciousness journey upstream through 6 timeless wisdom lessons. We will decode together a powerful truth, exactly at the moment you learn how to loosen the grip of the will. That is when the inner kingdom of peace begins to radiate most brilliantly. Take a deep breath, loosen your shoulders, and let your soul begin the journey back home. Lesson 1. The Art of Letting Go. When the hands stop gripping tightly. Greetings. Continuing the breath of awakening, I want to invite you to step with me through the first door of tonight's journey. To find peace, we need to together remove a fog of misconception. That is the notion that holding on is strength. I want to tell you the story of an old monk on a wandering journey. His fortune in this world was very small and minimalist, encapsulated only in a faded robe and a precious ceramic bowl used for begging every day. One afternoon, as the monk was walking along a rugged cliff, his foot unintentionally slipped slightly. The ceramic bowl, the only treasure attached to him for decades, suddenly left his hands, fell into the abyss, and shattered into 1,000 pieces on the cold rocks. The student walking beside him exclaimed in shock and sorrow, "Master, your precious bowl is lost! How can you stand so still?" The old monk did not panic at all. He only quietly looked down at the abyss with tolerant eyes like an autumn lake, then gently smiled and said, "I enjoyed its beauty and utility when it was with me. Now, when the karmic connection is over, I return it to Mother Earth. Everything is done." Dear friend, the action of the old monk is exactly the pinnacle of the art of letting go. There is a huge misunderstanding that keeps our minds always in a combat-ready state. We think letting go is indifference, is apathy, or coldness toward reality. But the sacred truth is, letting go is not abandoning life. Letting go is abandoning resistance to the flow of nature. In the wisdom of the world-honored one, he taught about the law of impermanence, anicca. He reminded us that all things in this world, from distant stars to every cell in your body, are in a state of continuous melting and shifting. There is nothing standing still forever for you to hold on to. Imagine the image of an ancient tree in autumn. Do you see any tree trying to hold on to the withering yellow leaves? The tree does not wail, nor does it cling to its old magnificent cloak. It understands that falling is necessary for the life sap to be retrieved to the core, helping the tree trunk stand more firmly through the freezing winter and preparing for a brilliant rebirth next spring. Shedding leaves is not a loss. It is an act of conserving sacred energy. Tonight, when darkness covers the room, I invite you to quietly review the spiritual backpack you have been wearing on your back for 60 years. How many things in it are you clinging to so tightly that your hands are bleeding? Is it the aura of a fame that has receded? Is it an image of yourself when you were young and agile that you still refuse to bid farewell to? Or is it attachment to a relationship where the karmic connection has completed, but your mind still silently continues writing scripts of regret? We are tired, not because the path of life is too long, but because we have voluntarily shouldered too many ghosts of the past right into our sleep. When you force life to stand still to your will, you are personally tightening the chain around your soul's ankle. It is time you are allowed to be free of affairs. Carry out a revolution of compassion. Grant yourself the right to let go. When you stop demanding reality to be different, when you stop forcing time to halt, you will be amazed to notice a weightless vital energy spreading throughout the nervous system. Engrave this soothing truth before sinking into deep sleep. True peace begins exactly the moment we stop demanding life to stand still in one place. Tonight, let the leaves of yesterday fall freely onto the tolerant ground. You are not losing yourself. You are only becoming more expansive and clear, so the moon of wisdom can be fully illuminated. Sleep in the lightness of someone who has bravely owned nothing, so that from there, you can have the whole universe of peace in your chest. Lesson 2. Accepting reality. The art of stopping the fight with the sky. I want to tell you about a traveler who spent almost half his life in a monastery. One gray afternoon, when cold winds began howling through the door crack, that student went to his master with a face full of exhaustion and disappointment. He exclaimed, "Master, I have meditated for tens of thousands of hours. I have read thousands of pages of scriptures, but why can my heart still not find peace? Why do the storms in my heart still constantly scream?" The old monk did not answer immediately. He quietly stood up, took the student's hand out to the porch just as a sudden downpour struck. He pointed at the white curtain of water and gently asked, "My child, when it rains, do you stand out in the middle of the yard to argue and demand the sky stop raining immediately?" The student blankly replied, "Master, of course not. No one does that useless thing. Raining is the sky's business." The master smiled, his eyes shining with wisdom. "Then why, when the rains of pain, of illness, or of old age strike in your life, do you spend all your vital energy to argue and resist reality? You suffer not because it rains, but because you are desperately making an effort to force the sky to be sunny to your will." Dear friend, in Buddhist wisdom, there is a fragile but extremely important boundary that we need to understand. Pain is a natural reality, but suffering is exactly resistance. Imagine you are standing before a giant tsunami of the ocean. If you stand straight, brace yourself, and make an effort to push that wave back, you will quickly be exhausted and submerged by the power of the water current. But a good swimmer will choose to take a deep breath and dive underneath the wave. In that deep bottom, no matter how turbulent the surface is, you still find a still and safe space. Accepting reality is not weak, surrender, or submitting to fate. Acceptance is actually an act of ultimate courage. That is bravely seeing the clear truth without the filter of denial. At this stage of life, perhaps you are having to face a physical body no longer as supple as before, or a family situation not going according to the script you wrote. The mind's instinct is to fight. It wants to fix, wants to change, wants everything to return to how it was. Exactly this civil war is draining the last drops of energy in your nervous system. Engrave this truth. Life is not a plan to be executed. Life is a process quietly blooming. Life is not a plan to be managed. It is an unfolding process to be witnessed. Tonight, when you lie in the shelter of the dark night, I invite you to perform an act of peace. Instead of complaining about what is unsatisfactory, try whispering to yourself, "Yes, reality is like this. I see it. I acknowledge it. And I allow it to be present." The very moment you stop arguing with the sky of reality, a giant energy flow trapped for so long in opposition will be released. You will find your mind becoming strangely clear and pure, like the sky after a rain. When you are no longer a slave to expectation, you officially become the master of peace. Sleep in the relief of someone who has chosen to go downstream, so the river of life brings you back to the eternal ocean of sovereignty. Lesson 3. The wisdom of non-judgment, when consciousness stops labeling life. Greetings. When we have learned how to be quiet under the reign of reality, a new insight will begin to sprout inside you. That is the ability to view everything with tolerant eyes, instead of eyes that always hastily judge. Do you realize? The mistake, making our minds always in a red alert state, is the habit of labeling, this is a good thing or this is a bad thing, the exact moment the event knocks on the door. I want to invite you to contemplate with me an ancient story deeply imbued with the breath of Eastern wisdom. There was an old man living in the frontier region. His only asset was a beautiful white horse. One day, that horse suddenly broke out of the stable and went missing into the deep forest. Neighbors heard the news and flocked over, sighing lamentingly, "What a great misfortune! You have lost your only treasure!" The old man just quietly smiled, his eyes calm like a rippleless lake surface, and gently replied, "Maybe, but who knows if it is a blessing or a disaster?" A few weeks later, the horse suddenly returned, bringing along a herd of other strong wild horses. The villagers again hastily came to congratulate. "You are truly the luckiest person in the world. Lost one and gained 10. Truly a great blessing." The old man still maintained that calm demeanor and said, "Maybe, but who knows if it is a blessing or a disaster?" The journey of destiny continued to revolve. The old man's son, while practicing riding the new wild horses, accidentally fell and broke his leg, becoming crippled. Once again, worldly people came and wept for his family's misfortune. And once again, he whispered to himself, "Maybe." A year later, war broke out. All young men in the village were conscripted, and most never returned. Only the old man's son, thanks to his crippled leg, was allowed to stay with his father and was safe and sound. At this time, the whole village was stunned to understand the philosophy the old man had cherished his whole life. Dear friend, this story is exactly the mirror reflecting our minds every night. Do you ever lie, tossing and turning, tormenting yourself because of an event you believe is a disaster that happened? We spend our whole lives concluding about our lives too early. We consider losing a position, a breakup, or a health incident as the endpoint for happiness. But Buddhist wisdom reminds us that reality is always a great flow, where every link is tightly connected to each other according to the law of cause and condition. An event is inherently just a page. It is not the whole book. Look back at the 60-year journey you have gone through with mindful eyes. How many times did a door close bitterly, like losing a job or an emotional breakdown, only for years later looking back, you were stunned to realize exactly that risk guided you to a more radiant horizon, or protected you from an abyss you did not know about? If that day everything went smoothly your way, would you have the wisdom and composure of today? Understand this liberating truth. Suffering arises when you frame reality into the two words luck or risk. Peace arises when you completely trust in the silent operation of the universe. Tonight, I invite you to perform an act of sacred entrustment. Look at the concerns, the things you are considering, problems in your heart right now. Instead of bracing yourself to find a way to salvage or complain, try giving yourself a single phrase, maybe. Let that word soothe your nervous system, informing every cell that everything is still unfolding, and the final result has not been written yet. When you stop judging too early, you are opening your heart to receive the miracles hidden behind the shell of adversity. Sleep in the relief of someone who has stopped being the judge for their own destiny. The night is deep. Let life freely bloom its way, and let yourself be at peace in this wise not knowing. Lesson 4. Meditation. The Path. Returning to primal stillness. Greetings. After the breath has helped us stop hastily labeling life, I want to invite you to take a deeper journey inside yourself. There is a secret we often miss when seeking peace. We often make an effort to use strength to extinguish agitation, while forgetting that stillness is inherently the natural nature of the soul. Imagine your mind right now is like a bowl of muddy, murky water. When seeing the murky water bowl, Our first reaction is often using our hands to stir it, trying to remove the mud layer hoping the water will clear up again. However, the more you stir, the more the mud is churned up. The more you make an effort to clean, the darker the water bowl becomes. The only way for the water bowl to become as clear as a mirror, fully reflecting the moon high above, is not impacting it, but setting the water bowl down and leaving it still. When you stop agitating reality, according to natural law, the tiny dust particles of thoughts will automatically settle to the bottom under their weight. And then, completely naturally, the water stream will become extremely pure and strangely clear. Dear friend, your mind tonight is exactly the same. Many people are afraid of meditation because they mistakenly think that meditation means having to stop thinking or force the brain to be empty. But actually, meditation is not a war with thoughts. Meditation is the art of observation. You do not need to chase the clouds away. You only need to realize you are exactly the vast sky containing them. Tonight, when lying in the forgiving darkness, I invite you to implement 3 bridges of awakening. The first bridge is mindfulness of breathing. Do not try to inhale deeply in a forced way. Just quietly follow the cool air entering and the gentle warmth exiting at the nostrils. The breath is exactly the thinnest but sturdiest thread, keeping the boat of your soul at the harbor of the present. The second bridge is watering gratitude. Quietly name 3 small things that warmed your heart today. It might just be the warmth from the pillow or an inquiry from an old friend. When you direct your mind toward sufficiency, your nervous system will receive an ultimate safety signal to begin the healing process. And the third bridge is visualizing letting go. Imagine every anxious thought right now is like a dry leaf falling onto a river. You stand on the bank, smiling, watching the leaf drift further and further away until it vanishes into nothingness. You do not need to jump into the water to pick it up. Let it go. Engrave this soothing truth. Meditation is actually training to loosen the grip of consciousness. Meditation is training the mind to release. Lucidity does not come from you achieving something new, but comes from the moment you bravely set the burden of effort down by the roadside. Tonight, you no longer owe the world any resolution. Let the water bowl of the soul settle in the silence of the dark night, and you will see peace as inherently always been there, never leaving you even for a second. Lesson 5. Liberating the obsession with control. When the hands stop straining. Greetings. When the mind has begun to get used to the stillness of the lake surface after a rain, I want to invite you to look at our hands with me right this moment. Notice, are those hands unconsciously gripping tightly to the blanket? Or are your shoulders tensed up as if trying to support some weight? Throughout 60 years, the world has taught us a great misconception, that control is safety, and holding on is strength. We strive to control health, control the future of our children, and strive to dictate all life outcomes according to the script we wrote in advance. But dear friend, standing before the forgiving darkness of tonight, be honest with yourself, is exactly the effort wanting everything to go my way, the very thing draining your last drops of vital energy. Buddhist wisdom gifts you a beautiful metaphor about the river to soothe this fatigue. Imagine your life as a river swirling amidst rocky rapids. The large rocks are exactly the incidents beyond reach. The law of aging, the individual choices of relatives, or the fluctuations of the world. Do you see any water stream bracing itself to pierce the rock or stopping to complain about it? Absolutely not. Water does not fight rock. Water simply slips through the crevices, wins around obstacles to continue its flow. Water reaches the ocean not because it is stronger than rock, but because it is soft and knows how to go with the flow. To help you truly let go tonight, let us listen to the story about a traveler lost in a stormy night. While slipping and falling into an abyss, he was lucky enough to grab a tree root sticking out mid-cliff. The man gripped tightly to that root with all his life's strength. His hands ached, his biceps trembled violently from exhaustion, and his heart tightened in terror of a bottomless abyss waiting below. He screamed for help in despair, but only the wind answered. Throughout the long night, he lived in the hell of fear and the effort to hold on. However, when the first rays of dawn broke, he looked down at his feet and was stunned to realize the flat ground was less than half a meter from his heels. Dear friend, that tree root is exactly the control you are clinging to every night. You worry about the future, you fear loss, and you believe that if you let go, everything will collapse into 100 pieces. But the sacred truth is, life always has its rhythm, and the ground of Dharma is inherently always solid right under your feet. Exactly the action of trying to hold on is what causes the pain and exhaustion, not the nature of reality. Engrave this soothing truth: control is just an illusion of the fearing ego. Peace only truly exists when you make an effort without attachment to the result. Effort without attachment. Tonight, I invite you to carry out a silent revolution. Choose to loosen your hands. Say to your loved ones, say to the unsolved math problems of tomorrow that, I have done the best I could. Now, I trust in the flow of the universe. The very moment you dare to abandon the role of a destiny manager, your nervous system will receive a definitive ceasefire command. You do not need to fix this world to be at peace. You only need to be present and allow everything to bloom its way. Sleep in the lightness of a soul that has realized that the ground is always there and you are always safe in the arms of forgiving impermanence. Lesson 6. Final Compassion. Reconciling with the Devoted Companion. Dear friend, honestly observe the judge sitting inside your mind right this moment. Is it true that on silent nights, when the world has gone quiet, that judge often rises and begins to repeat the mistakes of youth, clumsy decisions, or words that should not have been uttered? We often spend our whole lives learning how to be tolerant with others, but reserve a silent harshness for ourselves. I want to tell you about a traveler who went to a master with a soul torn by regret. He knelt down and cried, "Master, I have made too many mistakes. I cannot forgive my old self. I feel like a broken person." The old monk quietly looked up at the sky, where a young bird was staggering trying to learn to fly, then gently asked, "My friend, if a bird breaks its own wings every time it stumbles, will it ever learn how to fly high amidst the blue sky?" The traveler fell silent. The master continued, "Your compassion will never be complete if it does not encompass yourself as well. A mistake is not the end point. It is the material to create wisdom." Dear friend, this sacred lesson is exactly the key for you to truly sleep peacefully tonight. Understand that your version in the past did their best with the amount of knowledge and maturity they had at that time. You cannot use the eyes of a person who has gone through storms to judge a soul struggling in the mist. Self-punishment does not help you become better. It only withers your restorative energy source. Tonight, I invite you to perform an ultimate healing ritual: loving kindness. Meditation. Gently place a hand on your heart. Feel the warmth from the palm slipping through the shirt layer, touching the persistent beat that is still loyally nourishing you. Close your eyes and silently send inside the seeds of reconciliation. May I be at peace. May my heart be free from regrets. May I live in tolerance toward myself. When you stop fighting with yourself, the civil war in your nervous system officially ends. Compassion has a miraculous power. It is like cool water melting all rocks of resentment and self-blame. When you forgive yourself, you also naturally find vast tolerance for the whole world out there. Do not owe yourself an apology anymore. Tonight, you are not a person who makes mistakes. You are a resilient soul that has bravely gone through so many ups and downs. Sleep in the aura of compassion, because you deserve to be loved by your own hands. Let your heart be weightless and expansive like the sky after a summer rain, ready to receive a radiant rebirth tomorrow morning. Greetings. Our journey of consciousness tonight, through 6 realms of stillness, has gradually brought the mind's boat back to the harbor of reconciliation. We have together looked back at the art of letting go of the broken bowl of the past, learned how to smile under the rain of reality, patiently waited for bamboo roots to root deep into Mother Earth, sat still so the soul's water bowl settled clear, loosened our hands from the branch of illusory control, and finally comforted our own wounded wings with tolerant compassion. Understand a final truth before closing your eyelids. True peace has never left you to hide in the world out there. It is always there, hidden deep beneath the fog of expectation and fear, just waiting for you to choose to stop so it can be revealed. Tonight, you no longer owe the world an explanation, nor do you owe yourself a punishment anymore. Everything is done. From this moment, let your life flow smoothly, like a flat river, gliding past all rapids without being hurt at all, carrying the moon of wisdom to illuminate all things around. In the sharings just now, which lesson softly touched your heart most deeply? Please share with me in the comments section as a sacred commitment to your own soul. And do not forget to press the subscribe channel button so we can continue to guide each other on the path of awakening amidst the long night. Wishing you a long night of peace, complete letting go and waking up radiantly in the dawn of sovereignty tomorrow morning. Goodbye, and see you again.